right? Isn't it funny?
Busted Nux is on here.
And we're live. We are live.
Nice. All right, let's get this thing started.
I mean, as started as we can get, right?
Oh, crap.
Uh-oh. Technical
Yeah.
difficulties already?
Nope. It's just John. Not
Okay.
not turning down the volume.
Okay, so hey guys, we're doing some sound stuff. Apparently I'm always quiet or something like that, so I changed a few things up here. Let me know if I'm too loud or if I start clipping, if you know what clipping is. John's also using a new setup mic too. He's got a little lapel mic there on his collar, which is actually facing upside down right now.
Yep. Hey, I'm trying. It's
So let us know how it sounds. If you like it, cool. If it sounds weird, then let us know. Anyway, how's it going, you guys? My name is Adam.
my name's John,
We are
and we
here. Oh, fine. You do it.
no, I was gonna say, and we are here again, another Saturday. I'm back from being sick, if you can't tell. So we'll go with that.
Yeah, John was sick last week, so that's why we had Lance sit in.
Charlie is one of our local drifters at PDX. Hey, Charlie.
Was he asking a question in the PDX chat or the PDX page?
He did like a while back,
Which one
but
was it?
his car is pretty good. I mean, we kind of messed it up, and then he got it back. It's pretty good now. He can drive it. He
What?
can. He's almost part of the line.
Almost part of the line. How does that make you feel, Charlie? Does that hurt you in any sort of way?
Hey, he knows. He's the one who said it.
If anything, just like punch John in the gut.
Nope, you can't do that.
It's working now. That's good. That's good.
So,
Okay. So tonight we have a little bit of an interesting topics array, I guess you could say. I kind of ran out of things, to be honest. So if you guys have any ideas on what to talk about or what you want to know about, put it down in the chat, or actually comment, and then I'll see it
yeah,
and then I'll write
comment.
it down. Yeah, like commenting's weird because when we're in chat, it doesn't actually comment on the video. So
It only shows up in the chat side.
yeah, I know. I haven't figured that out yet.
So,
Unless you're watching it afterwards, then the comments work.
mhm.
I'm still getting comments for the Futaba video. It's
Yep.
crazy.
It's our first video too. Like, it's weird that we're still getting action.
I want to say that it's one of the first actual videos in the US that's in English.
Yep. Now you have to figure out how to do it in Chinese.
No, no, not at all. So event-wise, I just want to touch bases right now on that. If you are in the Portland PDX area or just in Oregon in general, there is, what is it? It is the Roadster Show, which someone posted pictures of the Roadster Show, and there are some really, really, really cool cars there. I won't be there. But if you want to go and support Matthew in his street scene, that'll be where it's at. So that's tomorrow and Sunday that it's happening. And then there's also Import Expo that's coming up next week at the same place at PDX Expo Center, right? Yeah. Yeah, Sean Kitaguchi is going to be their DJ, and there's
That's
going to
next
be
Sunday
there's going to be drifting,
or
RC
next week.
drifting there.
Mhm.
Okay, so that's events. As far as our own events go, we don't have a competition scheduled until May, which is our first season opener. We had the RCFCs. Their first competition was the other night, right? I think Matt Timmer.
Yes, I think that was
Matt Timmer tripped
That's it.
first,
Yep.
and I don't know who the other. One of them was Rosendo.
Yeah,
Came in third.
Rosendo. It's one of them.
Right on. Okay. Yeah, Jesse, there's gonna be some cool cars there from the pictures that I've seen. I I'm on the border of going. Maybe not. I don't know yet.
You should go. So we can go hang out a little bit, go have lunch, and then maybe hit up PDX for the last half of the day. It's
Isn't
within
P?
30. It's within 25 minutes from the expo. 20
Mm,
minutes.
maybe I don't know. I don't know. I'll figure
Oh,
it out.
we might be hosting a family thing tomorrow also.
So you're probably out.
Uh, I might go early and like go play and then come back because the get together's probably not until in the afternoon, like late lunch.
Did you see the pictures of the track?
It's yeah. I think it's a good effort for one person show.
Well, I mean, it's not even that, right? Like if he was on the same floor that we were on at Hot Important Nights, it'd be a totally
Mhm.
different thing, right? If you do have like pretty chopped up tires, I definitely recommend bringing those. It doesn't look too smooth, or at least it looks very, very rough. Um,
It's polished, but it's not. It doesn't look as good as the um Hot and Nights floor for
mhm.
sure.
I'm pretty sure they're
I think it's
doing,
in a different building.
yeah, I'm pretty sure they're doing a remodel in there because it seems like there's a lot of like wood panels
Mhm.
in the background from what I saw. But yeah,
It could be someone's display.
no, that's a lot of wood panels, like all along the all along the walls there.
Yeah, the picture that I got was. Let me see. Oh yeah, uh-huh. You're right. But there are some cool looking cars there, so it might be worth it tomorrow.
If you want some cool shirts, Matt has some pretty cool shirts at the street scene booth. So, Lance's Boso van is one of them,
Yep. So
and
that's cool.
it's called the Grocery Getter. Okay,
We we gotta make that happen. Like
what the
have
shirt?
a have an actual van, and then we can name it the Drift Grocery Getter.
The Drift Grocery Getter. Nah, nah.
K
It'd be a key truck or a K truck.
truck would be fun. Some guy sells it in Portland. It's just licensing it would be like Washington.
It's weird though, right? Because like I I would have never paid attention to them, right? But now they're like
Mhm.
all over, or it seems like
Yeah.
they're all over.
Yep,
Little
for sure.
little 3-cylinder things. But hey, look at the Toyota Corolla GR and the Yaris GR.
You are?
No, no,
I was like,
no,
it's about time. Come here, buddy.
no. I'm not gonna go that route. I don't need to go that route. I just need a car that'll take me up to Portland.
And the dog's making appearance.
Oh, he's getting
Say hi,
big.
guys. He's tired.
His
He
name is
did a lot
Loki,
of
by the way.
walking today. So
Okay, you guys, let's hit it up with the first topic. I want to talk about soldering. Do you guys think that soldering is a necessary thing?
yes.
Like, do you feel like you absolutely need to learn how to solder in this hobby? I think so.
Yeah, I think it's necessary. I think it's a skill that you definitely have to learn for trackside repairs, or if you're building a kit at home and you need to shorten those wires. I feel like it's definitely one of those skill set that needs to be learned.
Right. Cuz like every single like stock ESC that's out there, or not stock ESC, but like the wire set that comes with your ESC is always going to be like 4 to 6 inches, 7 inches too long, right? It makes it look messy, and I don't like it. Although at the same time, like how many times have you run across the person that cut like that's not set on the idea of I want to keep the ESC in this car, or I want to be able to move it to a different car.
Um, well, that's how I used to set my cars. Is that I'm anticipating I'm going to be moving the ESC, so I have my wires extra long, or my soldering is not permanent.
So what about the time that you finally make the decision and uh like shorten your wires so that they just reach or like look good on the setup?
And then I had to take off that ESC mount, and then I don't have enough room to put my tools there to get to the screws, things like that. And
Mm-hmm.
then you have to unsolder.
Mm-hmm.
So it just depends on the setup. But I think now that we've been doing this a little bit, we consider that when we're placing electronics to where, okay, we're hiding the wires, so everything has to be central, or um, the ESC wires are a little bit longer. Like me, I make sure my battery wires are extra long.
Mm-hmm.
That way, if I have to borrow someone else's battery and it's a different polarity, it's long enough that it'll reach. So,
Uh, that still freaks me out though. I've had too many occurrences of blowing up ESCs because of that. So, and batteries are typically standardized enough where like it's it's usually the right way. There is a set of batteries though that I came across. It's like RC Power or something like that. I
and it's the
forget.
opposite of what you're normally used
Yeah,
to.
they're opposite, so I
Mhm.
have to flip the battery, and luckily the terminals go all the way through, so it's not that big of a deal, and it's like
Mhm.
whatever. Let's see. Lance says, "Yes, at least basic skills don't need to be able to do small soldering." I mean, I think small solderings. I mean, you and I both got into small soldering jobs with our flight boards, flight
Yeah, for
controllers for
sure.
drones. Um, I like it all boils down to the same concept and idea. So yes, small soldering can happen, like uh, capacitors, right?
Mhm.
But probably not as small as a flight controller.
Yeah,
uh,
and the flight controller I think would be the smallest I've done. No, I
yeah.
take that back. I've done some smaller ones.
Well, I mean, as far as flight controller goes, it's literally tap and apply solder and you're done, right? Not like
For the most
wait
part.
there for like 10 or 20 seconds and then apply solder, right?
Mhm.
Okay. Charlie says either learn or know someone who's willing to help with every small issue. So, unfortunately, I'm one of those people that like to help with every single small issue, and then I get annoyed.
Yep,
And you,
I've been
you'll
there.
you'll know when I start to get annoyed too, because like I'll start telling you like you need to figure this out yourself. Or like Alex Plekin today, he's putting his shark together, right? So the Shark DDS, right? The direct drive
Mhm.
system. He's like, what are your settings, or where do I need to put the Ackerman setup? So I was basically like, just play with it. You'll figure it out. Well, like not that I won't help, but like you should be able to start playing with things for yourself to be able to figure things out. Hey, leave it. I mean, yeah.
It's one of those. I think we've all gotten annoyed while helping someone, but it's part of the hobby. There's always gonna be. I mean, I still ask questions, and
Mhm.
I know the answer, but it's like, oh, hey, I haven't done this in like 6 months. How did we do this last time?
Right, right.
So,
And it's totally fine. Like if you don't know, then you don't know, and then
mhm.
I'm willing to help. But like if you're gonna come up to me and be like, "Hey Adam, can you solder an ESC and motor for me?" No, I don't want to be that guy. Mm,
Yeah, but then you're like, let me do it. I can do it better.
That's because I'm OCD about how solder looks, and if it looks like like oh my gosh, like Damien's right, like
Oh,
when
the
he got it
moon?
from Garrett. Oh my gosh,
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
it annoyed so okay, you know how there's like dirty solders, right? And like they just don't leave the solder on or soldering iron on long enough for the solder to flow, and it just looks like hairy and spiky and gross.
Hmm.
Well, it was that, but it was like the size of your pinky.
Yep, I've seen those jobs.
Yeah, so I'm like, okay, just hold on, give me about 10 minutes, and I'll
Hmm.
fix that up for you. So if I feel bad, if I genuinely feel bad for you, I'll help you out.
Dang. So you,
uh,
you want to give them a pro tip on soldering?
yeah, well,
You go through some steps.
yeah, so I've got a bullet list of kind of things that I thought about right before this stream because I've kind of been out of it. Not sick. I just didn't do anything until today. Well, I mowed the grass today, but and then we were playing Harry Potter all day.
Is that Harry Potter game like GTA for Harry Potter fans?
Yeah?
Okay, because someone mentioned that at work today. It's like, did you hear about the new Harry Potter game? I'm like, and then they were like, yeah, it's like GTA for Harry Potter fans. And I was like, oh,
I
never
mean,
played it.
so Zach related it to Fable. And I think it's
Okay.
more along the lines of Fable than GTA is. Because it's not. Oh, actually, it it puts you in a position where you basically don't listen to adults in the game, and you're effectively stealing from every single household in the game.
Huh.
Yeah. So yeah, GTA.
GTA.
Let's see. Hold on. Lance, to be fair, unless you've had to use a Connie or a Rhinomax, the Shark DDS can be confusing. Yes. The whole thing, the whole idea of the Shark in terms of like just building the kit is confusing completely. Because the best assembly video is the assembly video. Like the instructions don't do any good. Mine didn't even come with instructions. Like not even the QR code for instructions.
So I thought about buying that kit just for the hell of it, so I could say I had a shark, and I know someone will buy if I didn't like it.
Dude,
um,
okay, never
after
mind.
seeing what Alex went through with his kit, I was like, nope, never mind. I'm not gonna buy one.
Yeah, I mean, okay. So for those who don't know, basically they forgot. Wait, which Alex? Alex Plekin or Alex Burton?
Uh, Plekin.
Okay, so for those who don't know, basically they forgot the bearings for the idle for the top
Top
shaft,
stuff. Yep.
and they forgot. Well, they just didn't put in a newer version of the servo horn, which the newer version is splined. But
Mhm.
yeah. Anyway, I mean, it sounds like that they got that all squared away
Mhm.
pretty easily. Yes, the flange bearings is what he said. Okay. Charlie says that was my experience. I did a crappy job, and then Al came up and told me to move over, and he could do it cleaner and faster. I'm still learning the. Yeah, yep, yeah.
Oh, I know who Al is. Okay, never mind. I was gonna ask who is that. So Al is one of my old acquaintances from old friend, from RC flying, back in Hobbytown days, foaming airplanes. Um, yeah, back in the day when I flew a Striker, like a go fast airplane.
What is it?
It's like a ducted fan airplane. Basically, it's like a flying wing.
A wing, like an actual wing, or like a plane?
It's like a wing, so it's like this shape, and it's got the motor back here.
Delta wing.
So yeah, like a delta wing.
Okay, cool. Okay, so where are we at? Bullet points.
Yep.
Should you really learn how to solder? Yes. Yeah. Tips and tricks. So the biggest thing for this is make sure that you're using a good quality iron. I can't stress that enough. Like if you go to like Radio Shack, if you still have one, or just like buy the $20 soldering iron from Amazon, yeah, you're gonna have some problems with that. They're gonna take forever to heat up, and just trying to keep the soldering tip like hot. That's problematic for those. Um, so if you do want to get into the game, invest in like a good Hako or like a Weller, one that actually has like a separate power base, because those are the ones that are gonna like heat up really really fast for you and stay consistent throughout the solder job. To small tips for small jobs, large tips for like bigger battery wires and motor wires for stuff like that, like the chisel tip. Those are the best for the battery
Hmm.
and those motor wires. Uh, I have my soldering iron around 750 to 800 degrees. What about you, John?
Same.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what. So if I'm like trying to unsolder like an older connection from factory, I kind of have my soldering iron a little bit hotter, a little over 800. I think I'm close to um No, I'm right around there, 800 to 850 at most.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Gotcha.
oh, and I have an example right here of what I use. It's a little older, but that's the tip I use for the batteries and ESC. Is that better? Yeah, there you go.
What's the brand name of it?
So this one's track power, but this one has different models with different names. Like, uh, I want to say this one is also called something else. I have this one's the TK950,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a different brand with a different letter, but it's still a 950.
Mm-hmm.
So
I want to try one of those lipo powered soldering irons. It's like the TS100 or something like that. I know Trinity has one, and I know there's like another generic one that comes from like the drone world, but I forget what it is.
I believe it's that not what it's not Trinity. It's the one
Oh,
that you mentioned, the 120.
Jake's soldering iron, the Ryobi battery power thing. That seems pretty
That's
cool.
Lance. I think that's is it Lance, is that you with that charger or that solder
No,
iron?
I think it's Jake's because Lance will bring his like entire setup to the shop if he needs to solder.
Yeah, maybe. I don't
And
remember. I know I used one, and I was gonna say that there is a Ryobi one, and I'm like, oh, this works.
yeah, and it seemed like it worked pretty darn well.
So it was Lance that had it. I borrowed it from Lance, and then Jake had the solder. I think.
Ah.
You
Oh,
know.
was it Jake's little like emergency kit where like it's everything just like shoved in the back? Anyway, because bringing the $600 Hako is silly. No, it's not.
I mean,
Although,
you bring everything else. Like
although mine wasn't that expensive, but mine doesn't have all the cool features that Lance has. So it is what it is.
Lance
Although,
is just gonna have all those when we go out to like parking lot drifting.
right?
He'll just have the whole workstation like in a parking lot space in a 10 by 10 tent.
Okay.
Oh, would you guys be off topic? Would you guys be interested in doing like some sort of RC drifting demo on asphalt?
I mean,
Entertainment purposes only.
so like RER videos.
Kind of, but it's gonna be the parking lot at work.
I mean, okay.
So
Like, where are you going with that?
oh, I was just asking because we mentioned like parking lot drifting. So I was like, oh hey, I remember my boss mentioned this, like, oh, you can have your buddies and you guys can drift in the parking lot. I was like, okay, that can work.
Right.
So
Okay.
for one of our events this summer.
Okay. Oh, for one of the. I mean, that'd be cool because we could bring a barbecue.
Hmm. Yeah, we can use DRAs. I think I have a set somewhere.
No, we got to use the RER tires.
No, you gotta use DRPs, Charlie. Brand new set.
Wait, what? Are we
I'm
talking for
just kidding.
asphalt?
No, because Len said DRAs, and then Charlie's like, "Do we get crappy tires for that?"
I mean, okay. At the same time, okay. There are tires that work, and then there are tires that work better, or
Hmm.
better yet, all tires will work. Some tires are better. There you go.
Yep. There you go. I like that answer.
It just
So
depends on how slow you want to go. That's really the answer there.
that's true.
Okay,
All right,
just
go
use
for
old
your tips and
DRCs.
tricks.
No, we need T drifts, you guys.
I
We need to
have a set.
we need to source T drifts so we can boil those things and put those on the rims. Or you were using the microwave trick, right?
Yep.
Microwave for 30 seconds and then
Water, microwave for a minute.
I
Yep.
think I would do something bad to that microwave. Who knows? I don't know. Okay. Excessive heat. How many of you are worried about excessive heat getting to your electronics? Yeah.
So, I mean, I have soldered before to where my ESC is hot to touch.
Well, yeah.
And I'm like, crap, it's a $200 ESC. I just screwed it up. And then, I let it cool down, power it on, it works. So I'm like, thank God.
Well, okay. I mean, there is the well, I mean, the worst thing that I can think of right now is like back in the old day where Xbox 360s were just desoldering themselves, like
Hmm.
like the red ring of death, right? So there's that's just from the heat of the electronics itself. So that was
Hmm.
just bad designing. As far as our electronics could go, like the only time that I have to like be somewhat cautious is if I'm replacing the wires at the ESC. That's about it. Like I'll take one off, I'll let it chill, and then I'll keep on going like in that aspect of it.
Yeah.
But as far as like the motor side, I'll just go all three of those at the same time.
Well, the motor side is easy. Like I feel like the motor side always comes off easier, and it's easier to solder.
Mhm.
So I feel like I can do that. Like just tap it, and well, sometimes it takes a little longer.
Mhm. Yeah, which I would say like make sure like if you're leaving the iron there, make sure that you're flowing some like new solder into it so that way it can actually move the heat through the wicking or through the actual copper strands.
Hmm.
Um cuz that's what it's going to do the best is when you're applying new solder so it can flow through the wire into the solid connection that you need. Alex Burton, just a fun fact, when I first start when I first started soldering, I got a couple of ESCs so hot I couldn't touch them, but they all still worked. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
how I feel, but I'm not too worried about it. Not anymore, at least.
yeah. I think we're there now to where it's like, oh, okay, cool.
Right?
Hmm.
Like I've gotten mine to the point where it's like, okay, we're gonna let that chill out for like the next hour.
Right. Until it's like cool to touch.
But they're also
um.
go go for it.
Oh, so because there's discussions of like wire gauges for and I want to learn this from my own knowledge. For soldering, right? Like we're using wires. Because I remember when we were doing drones, they were smaller gauges of wires.
Yep,
I think I want to say they're like
18
what,
to 22.
18? Yeah, 18 to 22. So, and we're running like 4F or 6S at some point.
So you got to remember though that the small wires are literally only for like data transmission and powering the board. Those weren't used for actually uh, supplying power to the ESCs. The ESCs either the ESCs got power directly from its distribution board or it was an all-in-one board and it has its built-in distribution.
Yeah. So on the when we first started, we were using distribution boards with um like smaller gauge wires. I think I had I want to say like 18 on one of my drones back in the day from the
Mhm.
distribution board to the ESC, and then from the ESC to the motors. Because if you remember those drone wires for the motor, it's like that thin,
Mhm.
and it was fine 4S or 3S.
Right.
Couldn't we run those?
So we'll think about it this way because everything also depends on how long of a run of a wire run it is. The shorter the amount of wire that's connecting in between like your high current devices, the the more amperage it can go. Like it'll get
Mhm.
hot, but you can carry more amperage over a less like over a smaller wire on shorter distances. Um John, I run 10 gauge on all battery and motor wires with 5 millimeter battery bullets. That's that's some wire.
Yeah, because I
That's
hate
my
soldering
speaker
10 gauge.
gauge wire.
Yeah, 10 gauge. It seems I hated those because I remember back in the day, when you buy a battery from eBay or Amazon, they came with those super big gauge wires, and soldering like an end to it just sucked.
Hmm. I mean,
So.
like Lance in chat is saying that it's overkill, which I mean to a point, yeah, it's overkill. But random facts. I'm curious of how much weight that adds to your overall chassis, right? Because going from like 14 gauge that's on the Hobby Wings, and then 12 gauge is on our AccuVant stuff, and then it goes up from there.
Hmm.
So yeah, I'm just curious.
12 gauge.
I know the
Mm,
drag
it's
guys are
like,
all crazy with that.
mhm.
John, have you at least weighed your car like all up weight? I'm curious about that. Um, so moving down this bullet tips here, if you are dealing with wires, always tin your wires. Like, please tin your wires because then that'll make your solder like flow a lot better and easier. Um, Flux, do you need it? Not particularly, but it does make that flow easier again. So use it at your own discretion. It does kind of get messy though. Like, you know when you're soldering battery terminals and you have like that puddle of flux
Yes.
that's on the top?
Mhm.
Yeah, just watch out for that. Do 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 do. Last tip that I wrote here is know your electronics. For example, AccuVant's electronics has a warranty, but it's basically useless. um, Essentially, for their warranty to be in effect, you have to be using their factory wire, the AccuVant's wire that is soldered on it, and you cannot detach those wires. And when Philip was trying to warranty his ESC, it basically came down to the idea of it. You're not saving that much money, like maybe $10 or $20, but you might as well just buy another new ESC instead of trying to warranty it. Warranty, grab the warranty for it.
Yeah. I feel like that most electronics are like that. And then you can't really prove that, hey, it was a ESC's fault unless the factory wires are there.
Yep. Yeah, and it's
So,
real. I mean, the whole idea of the like the hobby shop to the customer relationship, and then the manufacturer to the customer relationship. It's always, or at least every single hobby shop that I've known, is you buy the thing from the hobby shop, right? And if you do have any problems, it's always going to go directly to the manufacturer because they can take care of it, not the person you bought it from.
mhm, mhm. True.
And that's how it is literally everywhere. And I get
And like,
it.
well, back in the day, I know Traxxas is like $50 and we give you a new ESC. That's way back in the day.
I think I've had to use that. I don't
Uh,
remember how much it was though.
it's when Valinian first came out, and then everybody's doing a 3S on the wrestlers,
Mm.
and they said it could do it, and people are frying those.
Well, that's okay, but was that before the speed gear, the speed pinion?
No, they had the speed pinion in there.
I mean, wouldn't you still say that that's on the customer? Because if they didn't put the right gear on, although you wouldn't be able to tell either. So
No, it was like one of those no questions asked. You have an old Valinian that's fried, you get a new one for $50.
okay,
It's like their way of like, hey, buy more Traxxas.
right,
Hmm.
yeah, 3S with a smaller pinion. That's what came with my little mini E Rebo,
Hmm.
and that thing got hot.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Anything you want to bring up about soldering, John?
I think we covered most of it, like all of it actually.
Mm.
So wires, tenure wires, yeah.
Oh, be patient.
Oh, if you guys are cleaning up old wires for your soldering tip, um, I personally use the little wet sponge on the tray that comes with your soldering iron. And then I bought like some copper, like little wool to like clean up the tip. So that helps out a lot if you're cleaning up your soldering tip. So
Hmm.
I would add that.
Okay.
Oh, helping hands or clamps makes the job easier. So you're Oh, I actually have a pair of pliers that I use to hold the wires now too, because when they get too hot, it's nice because then you don't burn your hands. You get
The
helping hands.
what are they called? The the pliers that clip shut, basically.
I forgot what the. Oh, those are vice grips. No, not those
Not
one.
no like for medical grade stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. Forceps.
Forceps.
Yeah, I think it's
Um,
forceps.
hemostats.
Yeah,
Those.
there you go. Oh, quality solder always. So if anybody has a link to this solder, it's this is what I like to use.
You don't
It's a
want that.
Radio Shack. You can't see it, but it's Radio Shack. It's 6040, and it's the only solder that I use unless I'm at the track and someone else hands me something. But this is my favorite one. So every time I see one, I buy one just cause.
I mean, that's if you have a Radio Shack.
Actually, I found that one at Hobbytown. They kind of had some Radio Shack things there for like
Mm-hmm.
making, what do they use for the doll houses and train sets when they're soldering.
Mm-hmm.
Those were nice. So
I'm on board with Lance Kester. Kester's the way to
that's for
go.
all day.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Lance, next time you're around, I'll grab some for you from you and I'll try it out. I don't like trying different solders.
I mean, there is that idea, right? Like
Hmm.
back in the day, Orion used whatever solder that didn't have any like flux or anything in it. So
Yep.
trying to desolder those wires were always a pain in the butt.
Hmm.
Did I literally just delete? No, I didn't. Okay. Okay. Next question. Next topic. You just bought an RTR with $100, or your $100 is only your budget. What upgrade are you gonna recommend?
Okay, so which RTR? Just any? You
Just
just want
any.
to get and you want to upgrade it, and you only have $100.
Yes.
Um, let's see. All right, and we're gonna talk about brushless setup already. The first thing I would upgrade would be servo and gyro. I
$100, John.
Okay, gyro. Okay, well, depending on the kit. So if we're looking at Yokomo RTR kit, I would definitely upgrade the gyro because they come with that GO2 or 302 gyro. It works, but the V4 works better.
So the new one, it's not even a 302. It's like whatever piece of crap thing that's in that. So yeah.
Exactly my point. Upgrade that sucker. Um, yeah, if the MST can, depending on the MST, I think the last one that I played with was a 2.0. The gyro actually works. So that's why I said the Yokomo, because a lot of people that I've seen at the track with the Yokomo uh, GY302, whatever it is, the plastic black box, they always end up being weird and not working properly.
Hmm. I
So
I tried to set endpoints on one of those before, and basically it ended up frying.
yeah, so first upgrade under $100 would be gyro.
Okay. So okay. So the biggest thing about this is like which RTR are you getting, right?
Hmm.
Okay. So if it was Yokomo, then gyro. If it's RMX, I would still well, I would put it at servo because their new gyro is not that bad.
Hmm. Well, I don't think there's a right and wrong answer, right? Like, I mean, there are many different options because depending on the kit that you're buying. So if you are gonna do, like, say, let's say the Yokomo one, of course, the gyro, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or if you bought someone else's like Amazon electronics build
Mm-hmm.
and they bought a $20 servo, one of those no name brand gyro. Electronics would be my first upgrade. If you're buying an MST, I would try and get a better radio. Just because they're pretty cheap on those ones. Like there's no, the feel is different. The feel is different. Um, with like a good electronics, like radio wise. I had a guy that had, the uh, V4, good servo, decent electronics, like as far as ESC and motor combo, and he didn't want to switch radio. He was running with like this $85 Fly Sky or whatever it was. And then as soon as he switched radios, he was like night and day
Mhm.
driving. So I want to say RTR radio for sure, just to get that out of the way. Um, you can find a decent radio for around $100 to $150, or you can spend 250 and get a Noble.
I honestly, I wouldn't put it anything cheaper than 250 for a radio. Yes, there are better radios out there, but at the same time, uh, like if you're going to invest in the hobby, buy the right radio. Don't don't cheap out on your radio.
That is very true. So yeah, I guess the under $100 upgrade, gyro for the Yokomo, and did you say servo on the MSD?
Servo on the MST. As far as the RDS goes,
See, we
I'm
didn't
not
get one that's RTR.
No, none of us has the
Mhm.
RTR. But from all the reviews that I've seen, like there's a little bit of wheel wobble from it. But other than that, it's not that bad. Like the gyro that comes with it does have endpoints, right? So maybe servo, but I'm not sure. I don't want to spend $400 to find out though.
Yep, that's very true.
Okay, okay.
So,
So we already touched on it though. Like going into
mhm.
like if we had a little bit more money, I'd definitely say get a better radio because even with the stock electronics, a better radio is going to be far superior to the connection to the car.
Mhm.
And I can't stress how important that is. Like I know Janae and Scott are listening, and they both have M12s. They're perfect. Those are fine. They're fast enough. They work fine, even though that they're ginormous radios. Remember the M11? M11. Those things are huge too.
Yeah, I
And then
mean,
M11X.
yeah. Let's see. So we're going down the list of what to upgrade within $100. Um, Adjustable arms would be the next if you're getting a kit that doesn't have adjustable arms. But
Which
that's
which adjustability are you talking about?
camber, toe, Ackerman adjustments.
Okay.
So, well, because we're on the list, right? On that, because we did servo, we did gyro, and then we have steering knuckles
Yep.
to
Arms,
get more
wheels, tires,
steering.
and shocks.
hmm So if we're doing the arms, definitely adjustable arms if you are getting an MST, because out of the box they don't have adjustments. Um,
For
and then wheels and tires, it's very specific to the track.
mhm.
And I will say this, I because I had this experience last night. So I've been running the same tires I've had for. Um, they're clean. I've only ran them at Northwest and at PDX. So last night I wanted to do fitment. I wanted to make sure I get the little front end poke out, and then my rear wheels actually is a little bit more flush to the body in the back on the RDX.
Mhm.
So I decided I'm gonna throw in brand new tires and brand new wheels. And car's still fast, but it's because I'm running a clean tire that's made for P-tile, I feel like. And I feel that way even running at Northwest. The cleaner the tires, the better it works. Um,
No one
wheels,
believes me.
wheels, they do matter. If you are running the old school, um, like
MST.
Yokomo tires, MST, or sorry, Yokomo wheels, MST wheels, Speedway PAL. Those ones are like glass, so they're a little bit harder than what we're running now. They don't have any flex to them, or if they did, it's very, very little that you can't even tell. And they sound different on the floor. If
You
you,
you know what you know what I what wow you know what wheels I was surprised about? The RDS wheels.
yeah, so that's it has a little flex to it.
Mm-hmm. You know what's
Uh,
even more surprising? The old school HPI Nitro wheels. Those things have a
yeah.
crap ton of flex.
hmm So, but yeah, the wheels and tires combo does matter. Um, Shocks. Um,
If the Yokomo, 100% shocks because I saw the new RD 1.0 and oh my gosh, the friction shocks are true. Like 100% suck shocks. No, like no matter what you do to them. Although at the same time, like Daniel, the guy that was running the RD 1.0, like at the competition, he had the speed, so that was pretty impressive.
yeah, some of that. Yeah, I have yet to figure out like I haven't been surprised by a wheel and tire combo yet, as far as like not expecting that it's gonna function, but they do. Um,
I mean, we're in the hobby where like everything counts, right? Where
mhm,
everything adds up so minusculely that it matters. Like the amount of flex in the Yokomo high traction or the Rev D high traction tires, or the top line like super flexy tires, like
mhm.
it all matters, and it's in a way that like when you like manipulate the tire and the wheel in your hands, it's like how is this gonna help anything? But it does.
Yeah. And then shot on the shocks because you started like talking about it. Um, the factory Yokomo shocks from the older kits, like the YD2s, with the clear O-rings and the pink bladders.
Yeah.
If you don't replace the bladder, at least replace the O-rings because those O-rings sticks. Even if you use green slime on it, it eventually dries up and it sticks to the shaft. So
So get this, you guys. John has a very odd habit. Well, I don't know if it still happens, but he used to, like, out of just habit, because he never replaced the O-rings in his shocks. So he would always cycle his front and rear shocks before he set his car on the track, just so it wouldn't stick.
I still do that. This it's a habit now that like I at least play with my shocks before I put the car on the track.
It's PTSD for drift cars.
Well, it's weird now because I remember when we were first getting into this whole rear wheel drive drifting deal.
Mhm.
We didn't think about like what the suspension actually does, or I mean if we did, it's we were running what T drift, so it's like the hardest suspension in the rear, so it drifts better. um and then we started going to a bigger track in Washington, and then hanging out with you guys. It's been like, holy crap, you got to make sure your suspension have some sort of movement because it functions better.
Mhm.
um and I didn't think I'd ever, like, I remember my YD2 shocks in the back, it doesn't have travel. When you press on it, it doesn't bounce like it does now. Like
Mhm.
Nick's car, he doesn't have that bounce on that rear suspension. The front's fine, but like maybe a slight, like not even an eighth of an inch bounce for
So
Nick's car. But
both
it,
Nick,
it drives it no problem.
yeah, Nick and Elliot's car on the rear end have like no suspension travel at all. Both
So
of them.
it baffles me how steady or consistent Nick's car or it can be driven, or how he drives it.
I mean, like, does it really surprise you? Because, like, think of it this way: if there's no movement in the rear end at all, there's nothing to adjust. There's nothing to like make better or worse, right?
Hmm.
Because it's always static. It's always going to be there. Like, no camber change, no nothing.
True. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those. I'm still like, because if I was, uh, I think driving style just changes over the years
Hmm.
too. So
I mean, so like speaking of no changes like on the rear end, that's what the Fantasy is. That is literally what the Fantasy is. It's a solid rear axle, not a solid rear. Yeah, is it? Yeah, yeah, it is. But like the whole idea of that Fantasy chassis is that when you squat, there's no camber change. When you roll, there's no camber change at all.
true.
So I mean, that is the beauty of that chassis. At the same time, like I think that cars have evolved enough and the tuning has evolved that like it's almost, I don't think it matters anymore. Although it's still an illegal chassis in terms of competition. And it's illegal because it's rules that are based off of touring car rules.
Yeah.
That's it. But I don't think like they're the superior chassis anymore. Are they cool? Yeah, 100% cool.
Hmm.
I'm too cheap for it though.
It's all about Rhino Shark. Is that the case now?
No, like I'd still buy a Fantasy if I had like an like a depth of wealth that I like just didn't end. But it's one of those things.
Hmm.
But since we are talking about Shark, next topic is conversions on conversions on conversions. What?
Yeah, let's talk about that.
So how do you feel about that? Because everyone's converting.
So conversion wise, I did the Rev D conversion right after everyone else did it. Um, it's pretty cool. Like you get a blinged out chassis with spending a little bit of extra cash. Um, Now I have yet to prove that it does perform better when you convert. Um, I have mixed feelings about that because I did have my car driving really well at one point. I just didn't think it drove amazingly well compared to like the RDX.
Mm.
Um, and I had the YD2S plastic kit also before the conversion. Um, and I did great with it. I mean, I think it could be P-tile, right? P-tile just evens out everybody, and everybody's fast. Car works good. So, but I mean, I drive this on cement or polished concrete also.
Mm-hmm.
So, conversion kits are cool. Would I buy one again and again? Yes, just because of the cool factor. You get anodized aluminum, carbon fiber chassis. Um, I wish they had a cool one for the RDX, but I'll probably wait until I could get another RDX and
What are
then
you
I'll play.
talking about? Speed Factory already has one.
I don't like it.
I think you don't like a lot of things, but
Exactly. So um, I like it. I think I do want to try. Like, if I was gonna get a conversion kit, I want to try the Shark and see what all the hype's about with me actually building it. Um, well, so the problem is I drove Alex B.
Mhm,
I drove his Shark, felt great. I didn't like it as much because I didn't feel as planted as I do with the RDX. Um, I have
K-
yet to drive Alex Plekins or Alex P's um, Shark because it's not quite done yet.
but
I did drive the MC1 after Alex P worked on it and put it together for his build.
mhm,
Um, I couldn't get the feel correctly. Like it didn't feel right. Like it didn't feel like it's an MC1.
mhm. So okay, just to touch bases on like RDX to Shark though, right?
Hmm.
So RDX already has the right or the same or pretty close to the same weight distribution as the Shark. RDX. Yeah, RDX
Yeah.
has the same distribution as the Shark. Everything is already rear 70/30 to the
Hmm.
rear. So like you're already driving a car that is pretty close to that. The only thing that's really really genuinely different is the steering, right?
Hmm.
Cuz instead of direct drive you still have that bell crank. So
Yep.
that's the main difference I would say between um RDX and Shark other than like adjustability and chassis. like lengthwise, right?
Hmm.
Not too much though. So I would say that your biggest changes in terms of like, well, what drives different, like in a good way, is not going to be from the RDX to the Shark, but it's going to be from anything like MC1, SX3, like that configuration to a Shark. And that's where you're going to see like the biggest difference. So I think that's kind of where we're at. It's kind of like we made the upgrade from VHS to DVD, and then DVD to Blu-ray, and then Blu-ray to like 4K Blu-ray. Yeah, like it
Hmm.
exponential. What is it called?
Growth,
Not the
development,
growth. It levels off.
innovation.
Like um, your
Oh,
your amount of innovation or like experience of like how much things get better. Diminishing returns. That's what it is. Yeah, like
big word.
uh, that is a financing word or that's an economics word.
All right,
Um.
guys. Adam is gonna offer economics lessons after
Oh
the
heck
stream.
no, no! I hated that. Economics was like my worst thing ever, especially when we got stuck in our like stupid group business project where we had to like maintain and grow the business. Like it was yeah. Anyways, typical college stuff. Um, do 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 do.
So, why does the conversion kits exist? Like,
Well, so we were talking about it the other day in chat, right? I kind of felt bad for Damien because Damien had bought the MD1, right? So it's kind of like now I'm here in the chat basically saying that you should have bought a YD2Z just because you have way more expandability. And that kind of cough, John, cough. Just do
no, I
it.
was trying to sneeze. Sorry, guys. Huh.
um but that's what it's about. Like it's not just about the performance levels, right? Cuz yeah, they're designing these chassis because they think that their either weight distribution or the geometry of the chassis is better. But at the same time, it's more the idea that it's something different, and you get to be able to experience someone else's ideas that are refined to that level, right? It's like
Mhm,
writing a rough draft for like your writing class in college, and then you
mhm.
go all the way to the final draft. We did it with the Midnight Mini, right?
Yep.
Like we went from taking it, scanning it, redesigning it in whatever Cole uses, shortening it, and then running a
Mhm,
whole bunch of different drafts until we actually came out with the final product. And now we have the Midnight Mini, which is a full
yep.
carbon deck, two pieces, top and a bottom. Um, but yeah, like we're getting to the point where it's conversion on conversion on conversion though. So it's like, okay, I have a YD2. I'm gonna upgrade to MC1. Okay, MC1's now 2 generations old. Well, 1 generation old.
Mhm,
Let's get something else. Let's go buy a Razor deck, right?
mhm.
Or let's go buy a Shark. Or now it's let's go get a Megalodon Razor chassis
For the racer or for the
for
shark.
the Shark. So it's like even at the base level, right? So you have a YD2 that's like plastic YD2S, right?
Mhm,
$280. Then you buy the Shark conversion. Shark conversion is $380. Then you buy a Megalodon, which is $200 plus, or around 200, like 190 shipped or something like that.
mhm.
But yeah, like you're spending $1,000 just into chassis.
Yep. Well, I mean, we all did it, right? Like when I did the SX. So I did the YD2 S, and then I sold it, and then I bought a um, SX3, and then after I got the SX3, I got the MC1, and then I think I stopped there. But I mean, that's what, four chassis, $1,000 easy.
Hmm.
So
Chris, stop with the John money. My gosh.
right, but I mean, and then you find a chassis that you're like, oh, I like how it drives, and don't touch it at all.
Mhm.
Like So like the RDX, I think it's good for that. Because I haven't touched anything on it ever since I got it, except for moving my electronics from the MC1 into it.
Hmm. I
Oh,
mean,
and a 13.5 motor.
but that's exactly what I'm talking about, though. Like, th- chassis conversions exist to be able to experience different things. Like,
Mhm,
that's really it. Like the Yusakani chassis, right? There's no real aftermarket support for it. Um, the NGE, right? People are putting Traxxas parts in it to make the transmission a little bit more bulletproof.
mhm.
My PDS mix, I basically put in a Yokomo rear end, like Yokomo top shaft, Yokomo gear diff, ball diff actually, because the gear diff wouldn't fit. But like that rear end was bulletproof too, in
Mhm.
that sense. But I sold it because there's nothing else to do to it. And that's kind of where I'm at with like the MD1. It's just like I built it, it drives great, but that's it. So
Sorry, I
why?
was reading a message.
Hmm.
Go ahead.
But that's it. So like that's what chassis conversions are to me. Is like
So
it's the
they are for
difference.
people that wants to try something new with their old chassis.
I mean, okay, I showed you this, right?
Yep, you showed me.
Well, and I showed like our chat.
Yeah.
This is the wrap up mini or wrap up next M concept is what they called it. So it's
Hmm.
got a the nervous motor mount back here, and then it's got a VX stock version 2.0
Wait,
up here.
let's talk about what it was made for.
So it was made originally for the YD2S and the VX stock version 1 and a the nervous stock or nervous
But it was
motor mount.
originally made for the YD2S, so you can run a M chassis body,
Mhm.
and yeah, it's for so you can run an M chassis, so you can run the Tamiya bodies that are for the M chassis. And then of course they put all the holes on it, all the settings, so all the holes so you can use the VX dock, all the wrap up next parts
Mhm.
for the YD2, so you can put it on there, so you can make a mini wrap up kit.
Mhm.
So, but that's what it's made for, and we bought it because we wanted to run a Miata body or
Yep.
something close to it, something different.
But like as far as this goes, like this is nowhere close to how it was like when you last saw it, right?
Yeah,
Now it's
two
got a
three
high
years
motor
ago.
mount. Yeah. Now we got a high motor mount here, which is inspired by the whole more so the wrap up next LCG chassis,
Hmm.
the Travis LCG.
Yeah,
Sure Rev D does it, but that's not where I got it from. But
right.
it was a whole process of taking the chassis from what it was to making it something completely different. And that's what interests me.
And I think that's part of why we all got back into, well, so I started drifting with the four-wheel drive stuff, and then being able to change that kit to something that's cool, like switching it. Oh, hey, I need a one-way um, shaft, and then I need, more angle. So you buy the angle kit, um, and then counter steer, so it's close
Mm-hmm.
to rear-wheel drive, and then eventually we got to rear-wheel drive. And I think we took Yokomo drift package
Mm-hmm.
in from all-wheel drive or four-wheel drive chassis to a big angle chassis to a counter steer chassis into a rear-wheel drive chassis. So you can literally
FYI,
take that one chassis.
big angle counter steer chassis was like 60 degrees at max. Anything more than that, and you're basically breaking CVDs.
Yep. And back in the day when four-wheel drive was a thing and everybody wanted to get close to rear-wheel drive, so you did counter steer. And then Yokomo took that chassis, or we made that chassis work for rear-wheel drive because you
Mm-hmm.
just took out the shaft, you took out the CVDs up front, you get max angle,
So
and then you have a rear-wheel drive chassis.
you did buy the angle kit though.
Yes.
Yep.
So
And that's the same type of conversion that you're seeing on either like the Sprint 2. Sprint 2 has a rear wheel drive conversion. Even the
Hmm.
Tamiya TTO2, TTO1 and TTO2, they both have rear wheel drive conversions by MRC Plaza now. And they're actually pretty cheap.
Right.
Like,
So I mean, and that's what was cool with drifting, because I remember going to the track up in Linwood, and I was seeing people with like the battery mounted on the very back, the
which
very
is
front
not
of the
legal.
chassis. So I mean, it was like conversion for everything. So
I mean,
um,
yeah, like it is exactly that, right?
mhm. It's just so you can play with it and it doesn't get stagnant to where you're like, okay, I'm just drifting over and over again. There's like innovations over innovations, or it's just you messed up, so you gotta fix it.
Right.
Hmm.
Okay, okay. Do where do you want to go to now? Who are they for? Why do they exist? All covered.
Hmm.
Okay, okay, John. Let's go this route.
Okay.
So I am your total complete noob. I just bought a I just threw together a. Do you want an RMX or do you want a YD2?
Either one.
Either one.
I,
Okay,
I think it doesn't matter.
okay. So I just put together a box stocks YD2Z,
Hmm.
the real Z, not the RD 1.0.
Hmm.
Okay, I come to
Oh,
the
not the
track.
VX.
Yep, I come to the track and I'm driving like utter garbage just because I'm slow and I can't keep up. My wheels are shaking. What are you gonna do?
Well, the first question is, did you build it by the book?
Yes,
Okay.
because I'm
So if
new.
you
So I tried to follow the instructions as best as I could.
So first thing I would do is um, double check the chassis, make sure it was built accordingly, and you don't have arms upside down, or all your links are somewhat equal to what
Hmm.
they're supposed to be. You don't have to mic it out um, to get more precision. Um,
I think it's funny that you say that.
well, the RDX, I don't have any adjustments. So, but anyways, so I would check that, make sure it's built correctly. And then the next thing I would check is your electronics and settings on your endpoints. Make sure you're getting full endpoints and you're not using trim versus sub trim on your steering settings. If you are running a B4, redo, check your alignment and redo your endpoints.
So
Um,
let's focus on alignment then.
okay.
Where do you want to go from there?
For alignment, Um, so I've kind of changed my mind a lot on this. Um, there are some kits that are, if it's built properly with the proper electronics, it will drive decently. And then it comes down to driver skills. But as far as alignment, I always try to um, get some sort of, well, for the rear end, I used to believe in like 0 degrees in the rear. That's kind of like how I got started with the whole rear wheel drive. All the guys that was faster than me, that's what they told me to do. And then you drive anywhere else and it's all different. But for your basic alignment, I would say make sure your toe out on the front is, or your Ackerman is parallel ish, maybe a little toe out. For the rear, a little toe in according to the book, and that should give you a good setup. And then for camber, I would do the front camber. I'm still kind of trying to learn more about that, because and also the caster.
Hmm.
But I would start with the basics. I would
Hmm.
set my camber in the rear like, I want to say -2 or 3, and then the front I would give it more. Basically, I try to mimic what a real drift car looks like and close to it. I think that's part of my playfulness. Um, but yeah, having the RDX now, I would definitely set my camber on all my cars close to what the RDX is,
Hmm.
except for the Mini, because the Mini somehow has magic and it works the way it is. Um, and we
It's
can
the
talk about
short
that later,
wheelbase.
right? So, I mean, you have your books when you get your Yokomo kit, it comes with the basic settings. So I would leave it at that for the time being when you first build it and learn how to drive it.
Hmm.
So,
Now, okay, keep this in mind. This is like new builds that have happened within the past like 2 years or so. If you bought a kit like 8 years ago, the box setup was crap,
yes.
100% garbage.
Well, that's why we said YD2Z.
I know, I know. I'm
Mhm.
just giving him a
So
heads
the
up.
box, the suggestion build and camber setting on the setup page on the back of those manuals, they do work. Um, so after that, it would just be electronics. Make sure those work right. Make sure you're not using a super high torque motor that it acts like a drag brake when you let off the throttle. So after you check that, I would tell you, hey, if I can drive your car around the track, it's good enough that you can practice and learn how to drive it.
Right, 100%.
I did drive a car last night and I could not drive it around the track.
What do you think was wrong with it?
Electronics.
How so?
The servo does not work. Like, so basically the guy told me, oh yeah, I know it's my servo, it's not fast enough, or and like when you steer and you
Hmm.
let go, the servo does this. So like say you steer, right?
Hmm.
It does this. That's how fast it returns to center. And
How
then
fast?
go ahead.
How fast does it get to angle though?
It gets there pretty fast.
What radio did he have?
It's a basic radio. It's nothing. I don't even remember.
Like, are we talking about mid tier like Futaba 4 p.m.?
No, it's basic. It's I
Okay.
want to say it's basic radio. Like the whole car is like it needs to be gone through for sure.
Hmm.
And like I said, I would the next time I see the guy, I would probably check everything that he's got going on.
Hmm.
Like as far as the build, make sure um the build is adequate or
What gyro was it?
I don't know, a B4.
Hmm.
So it,
Jay,
like I said,
explain.
I would probably double check the car before I give him directions on where to go from there. Last night I didn't do a very good job of like checking people's cars or like when they showed it to me, hey, check my car. I
Hmm.
kind of like I was more focused on driving my own car. So it was like, oh yeah, this is kind of you know. But yeah, I drove it. I was like, I couldn't drive it.
So at Northwest, basically, what happens is that the people will go up to the front desk and ask like, "Hey, how do you do this?" And then it essentially equates to, "Oh, go back over by the drift track. You'll probably see Adam. He's like the little short guy back there. Ask him. Ask him anything, and he'll probably give you an answer." That's usually
Yeah.
what happens.
hmm Now, like I said, last night was more like I just got the body done and I got stickers done. So with the time that we have, I mean, I get there at like 7:10 ish, 7:20. So I was more focused on driving. So
Chris, I shouldn't be your guru. John is right up there. Like same track. uh, like
okay,
I'm happy with helping people, but at the same time, it's just like being that guy is kind of tiring sometimes.
it can be like
Mm.
I probably get like 10% of what you have to deal with at Northwest at PDX
How? There's way more people up there now.
because well, so when PDX first opened and there's a bunch of new guys, like I actually ran into an old coworker. from back in like the old RC days. He started drifting, and it's like, what should I do? Like basically, he watched me drive, and then he's like, "Hey, I know you. Let's talk about drift cars." So we talked about it. Um, but yeah, it's I when it first opened up, I was more making sure that everybody can drive on the track. So if people can drive, then the whole scene grows a little bit faster. So I talk to people like DJ. He's got the MST.
Hmm.
Basically, I walked up to him like, "Hey, can I see your car? You have a really cool body, Adam LZ, like 240, like paint
Was it
scheme."
cream?
Yeah.
Cream colored?
So I was like, "Hey, can I see your car and see what's wrong?" So he wasn't getting a whole lot of steering.
Hmm.
Like he was maybe getting 20 degrees.
So
So like,
endpoints.
yeah. So I was like, "Hey, check your endpoints and then this and that." After we did that, his car drove really well. The first time I met Damien, he had the Mini. Um, he wasn't driving at all. Same thing, endpoints. Basically, we just kind of go went over it real quick, and then he was like, "Dude, I'm actually drifting now." So just little things like that.
Hmm.
But I haven't had one as bad as the one yesterday.
Hmm.
So, but he told me right away, it's like, "I'm upgrading it. I'm just waiting for things to show up." So I was like, "All right, well, let's not bother. We'll just kind of just drive it and enjoy it, and then once you get your electronics, then we'll go from there."
Gotcha.
So, but yeah, I mean, there's a kid that showed up from Seattle that um, what do he have? Like a TTO2. He
Hmm.
was making it around the track, but he wasn't keeping up. And then
Was it actually rear-wheel drive?
yeah, so but it's one of those. Like I said, when it first opened up, I was trying to make sure that everybody can be on the same page as far as like this is how we're gonna do this. So everybody kind of has some sort of idea on how the car should feel like.
Hmm.
That way they can tune for it by themselves. And like Jake said, like if you can somewhat drive, I'll give you my car, and if you like it, we'll set a bass tune. And that's kind of what I was going for.
Hmm.
Um, and then of course there was the incident of some people giving people the wrong informations, like use worn out tires and you know do
Yeah.
this and do that. So,
Oh,
but
that wasn't even like too many hands in the cookie jar thing. That was just like bad track etiquette. And that's another thing that really needs to be like watched and kept like true to it, right? Like
mhm,
if a track has a spec tire, use the spec tire. Like
mhm,
at Northwest we have that problem because we don't always have tires in, right? So it's kind
mhm.
of like use what you got. At the same time, I feel like our track is kind of like indestructible at this point. Like for it being concrete and only being sealed. That's
Mhm.
it.
I just think if you use a spec tire, then it puts everybody at the same level of like drifting or just as fast, if not like the tuning. Some people are like, "Oh, you're just forcing me to buy new tires." It's not. Yeah. If I ran rubber tires, you wouldn't like it because then you won't be able to keep up, or you'd just be in my way every time.
Right.
So like if we're all on the same tires, then the whole track environment will just work better, and then you can drift together faster.
Hmm. I mean, it comes down to the idea of how well is that driver going to accept like either the things that he's going to be told, or is he gonna think, hey, I'm like the best driver here, you guys just can't keep up, like.
Yeah, no, there's definitely some of that. We did have one of the guys like straight up went to chat and or one of the group chat like more nationally. He was like, my local track is using C's and it's just super slow. I can make it around the track. Everybody was giving him the answer that we were all giving him. You know, people from Super G and other tracks, the same answer. It's the standard, type C's are the standard. Then he's like, well, it's just too slow. I like chucking my car everywhere and like doing this. And then everybody was just coming down and like, you're not listening. You just don't want to hear it. You already know the answer, this and that.
Right. I mean,
So,
that chat basically ended in the idea saying, "This is my style. This is what I wanted."
Hmm.
Not and sure, respect that choice, right? But at the
Yeah.
same time, if you go somewhere, follow their rules because that's the only
Hmm.
way that you drive at that track. If you're not going to follow the rules, then it's not going to be a good experience for anybody, not
Hmm.
just you, for
Yep.
anybody.
So, but that's what we're battling. Like, you know how when a track opens up and people want to drive their rally cars with plastic tires because they drift it on asphalt like that,
Hmm.
and they're four wheel drive, and people are like, "Oh, well, it's a drift car." Well, it's not really a drift car. I mean, back in the day, that's what we considered drifting, but now it's evolved, and rear wheel drive is drifting.
Hmm.
So, and someone had a buggy on there, but I think, yeah, just little things like that.
That's the biggest problem that we have at Northwest too. Like if we're
Hmm.
not there, then things just happen, right? And we can't like the employees that are there do great, good enough like to say like, hey, you can't use that on our track. But at the same time, there's nothing stopping them explicitly to say like, oh, yeah. I mean, one day we had like a little Luigi Mario Kart thing on the track, and I was like, whatever. Like I'm the only one that's on the track, so whatever.
Hmm. And that's I think now that the owner is a little bit more um into the drifting, like he's actually opening up a lot of space for us.
Hmm.
We've expanded the track from being a 22 by 24 into now a 22 by 60,
Hmm.
uh, which is cool. um,
So you're as big as Northwest now. A little bit skinnier, but just as big, just as wide.
yes. Mhm. We and then we are not using a full track. um, some of the guys have turned the little section that we're not using into a
Hmm.
figure eight. For the newer guys, they
Hmm.
literally just used like the no dig material and just made it to a figure eight. And there was a new guy that was like, doing figure eight, and then he hopped onto the big track. It's I want to say it's being the track is, since it's drifting and there's a lot of drifters that's going every day,
Hmm.
it's turning into more of like a drift track. Like, hey, this is just a drift track.
Hmm.
Um, and then the rules were posted on the page, which is cool. So we're definitely getting pretty good support from the owner.
Hmm.
Um, so, and that's what I tell everybody. There is a separate like group chat. I tell everybody, hey, clean up after you, respect the track, this and that. Like almost like a every weekend reminder,
Hmm.
which the guy seems to appreciate because they're like, oh yeah, we want the track to stay here, and so it should be good.
Right.
So yeah, I think we got off topic there
Well,
a
I
little bit.
mean, you brought up the chat. I was aiming for it. I didn't want to go that deep into it, like specifics. Like we're now into names in our comments.
Right.
Yeah, so it's tough, right? Because you want to help them
Mhm.
out, but if you're not gonna listen, then they're not gonna listen, and that's
Mhm.
the sucky part of it.
So
Chris, I recommend PDX to a couple of people at the Rod and Custom Show who were there watching the drift. Right on. Hey, Chris, how many people were there? Was it just you and Matt, or did anyone else show up? I know that they have like little cheap Amazon like 4-wheel drive things there for some people to just like randomly play with. But yeah. Um. Oh, I should have brought this up like at the beginning when we were talking about sharks. These things. I don't have autofocus on, so deal with it. um. So if you built a shark and you're wondering what this leftover piece is, this piece is depending on what you used, right? So if you used your basic YD2 setup, this is going to be for your Rev D like uppers because they are threaded, they screw in. You can also use the wrap up next arms on here just as well, just as easy. You need to come up with like a creative mounting, like a through screw, or like just go from the back with a screw. Easy as that. But that's it. That's it. Alex Plecken asked me today, and I think Alex Burton asked me like last week.
Yep, I actually have one of those pieces, even though I don't have a shark.
It was like, is this supposed to be an extra piece? It's like, yes, yes, it is. Okay. What else, John? Did you cover some stuff?
CLSD.
Yeah.
All right, so the new hype on a CLSD. Um, Tell us what it is, Adam.
I mean, most of us already know what it is. It's a
Mhm.
centrifugal limited slip differential.
Okay,
Which the cool
and
part is that we have LSDs in our car now, like in our RC cars. That's the cool part.
mhm. So for the LSD, what would you use it for?
Don't listen to John about it. He doesn't like it. Okay. What do I use it for?
Mhm.
I use it as a differential in my car.
Okay, versus the ball diff or the gear diff.
So I used a ball diff basically so I didn't have to deal with like any grease or any like messy blowups in the transmission.
Mhm.
That's why I use ball diff. Although ball diff is going to be a little bit more. Well, I mean,
I think it depends on how you set it up.
yeah. I mean, like ball diff is going to be overall smoother because there's balls and not gears. But at the same time, you can get a gear diff if you do it right to be pretty much more open, but you get more positive lock in terms of like spinning your wheels. You never have to worry about like your ball diffs barking with a gear diff. As far as a CLSD though, like what do you want to know about it? Sorry.
So we all watched that same video of putting it together from Rolling Garage.
No, I have not watched that video.
So I watched it just because I was curious on how what was said and whatnot. There's no instruction. Like I got a can with like gears and whatever in it. So I put it settings. So on the springs that you get, there's two different sizes. One's soft and one's hard or
Mm-hmm.
harder. The thicker one is the harder one. The thinner ones are the softer ones.
Right. So thin is 0.12 millimeters, thick is 0.18.
Mhm. Um, so there's settings, right? You have either 8 gears, 4 gears, and then you have your hard and soft.
Yes.
Um, when you built yours, did you try the hard springs first, or did you go soft?
So I initially ran mine the way that I got it, and the way that I got it was, which is actually different from how they're coming now, because the way that I got,
Okay, so good.
yeah. So the very first, I think I got the second batch actually, um, but when they came in like the black can,
Hmm.
um, they were pretty much fully assembled. Like you just needed to put the pins in the out drives and make sure that your screws were tight. Neil had a problem with that. He didn't make sure that the screws were tight, so like his screws came out and basically grenaded some transmission bits. Um, but it came with 4 gear soft springs just to start off with, and
Hmm.
effectively that is like if you were to rate it on like 1 to 4 in terms of just like overall settings, um, or how many it's basically second from the top as far as being like the most open diff, right?
Hmm.
So it still engages pretty early on, but yeah, that's the stock feel. And then I went through the rigmarole of like trying the other setups. So uh I went 4 gear hard springs, and that's actually the setup that I prefer right now, just because I like to drive like when I'm in, well, yeah, I like to drive higher RPMs at certain points, or at least that's where I like the feel of that diff, where I need it to lock up. Um, then I also tried 8 gear and soft and hard springs, like one or the other, right? But it it locked up so early that it was almost kind of like an unpredictable type of thing. So if you're on P tile or if you're on concrete, that's gonna come down to you, like how you feel. How do you want it to feel? Because you're definitely gonna see it, like, or not see it, but feel it. Like your car does weird things if you're really aggressive with the throttle. So effectively, I have mine set up to be basically ball diff, an open ball diff. Just it'll lock up at the very, very top end.
Okay. So, um, so when I got mine, it was in the flat, square, or rectangular can.
Hmm.
So I had to put everything together.
Yes.
Um, I tried the following the video. Excuse me. Following the video, I tried the whole 8 gear soft, and I wasn't paying attention to the spring feel. I actually put some hard ones in there, so like I had to take those out and put the soft springs back on and whatever. So I built it, tried it out. I didn't like it. I wasn't in love with it right away.
Hmm.
Um, I think it's because I drove my car before that and it was good. And then I was also playing with games. So basically, I was playing with a bunch of different things that same night. So I ended up taking it out. I ended up putting 4 gear soft spring in there, and it seemed to be good because I feel
Hmm.
like it would unlock when I needed to unlock,
Hmm.
and then it would lock up like right when I felt like it should lock. Um, so it felt great. It felt great at Northwest when we drove that one day. Um, but the problem I had, the reason why I didn't like it is probably the fact that I was too fast in the garage, like, or even at on P tile. I was just on the verge of hitting people all the time at tandem,
Hmm.
and my car was doing weird things when we were playing with it.
Hmm.
So I switched back to ball diff, um, and pro squat taking off, and it feels better with the ball diff. So I haven't switched back, and then we had that gyro issue or the servo dampening issue too that we fixed.
Hmm.
So the car's driving like how it should be. I feel like I will give the CLSD another try um, sooner. I think soonish. I want to say like this coming week. If I have some free time, I'll go drive it around. I mean, it's not too hard to replace the diff, so it's
Hmm.
like 4 screws.
I mean, okay, so if you have and know how to tune your diff to begin with, then CLSD doesn't really warrant you any like big benefits, right?
Hmm.
Because if like I'm still a fan of it, right? But I'm also to the point where like it could just be the weight that's being in play here. Because I have mine set up in the way that it's going to be open all the way up like until the high RPMs, right? So
Hmm.
basically, like it is just functioning as a ball diff, a really open ball diff. That's it. Actually, so today I had my mini, because I'm playing with rotor tuning today. Tomorrow, actually, I'll be playing rotor tuning tomorrow. But I was changing rotors today. Um, with the motor out of the car, right? I was rotating the like one of the wheels on the like on my mini chassis, and
Hmm.
it didn't have any like mechanical grip to spin the other tire. Like, because usually when there's no like catch from the motor, you'd see the diff in action, right?
Hmm.
When it's not attached, you'd see both wheels still turning the same way, right? Just because
Hmm.
there's enough drag. Yeah, there wasn't any of that.
So we did that at Nick's garage. I was playing with a CLSD on the RDX, and it just felt different.
Hmm.
Like it was like an open diff. Like I felt like there's no resistance to grab the other tire. But I mean, it's going. It just didn't feel as strong.
Hmm.
If that makes sense.
Yep.
So I was like, I'll try it differently this way. So first thing that came off was the CLSD, and then the Pro Squat, and then the car started feeling somewhat normal. So
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah.
but would like to play with it again and see if it's actually a thing or if it's hype.
Now, so since we're talking about Pro Squat too, or you're bringing up Pro Squat, it's interesting because like it used to be where I only added like 2 millimeters to the rear, and that felt like utter garbage to me. Like the car became unresponsive, and I didn't care for it. The chassis always felt more snappier, more responsive, like when I had no Pro Squat at all. But then with the MD1, and it's like 5 millimeters or however like much the Pro Squat is, like that you can set on
Hmm.
it, that changed my perspective on it. So as far as the Pro Squat goes, like I'm more inclined to say that if you are running Pro Squat, like kind of you got to test all things, right? Um, but more seems to be in my tuning style a little bit better.
Yeah, and I think that remember when we talked about, like you just said, try everything, right? See what works for you. Because
Hmm.
when we're helping you guys at the track, if you're one of those guys that asks us for help, we are giving you the baseline of what we started with to the point where we're at now and how we can drive our cars. Um, so it's gonna come down to your style of driving because I think it was Charlie's car that we messed with because it wasn't driving close to what I drive my car with, and he didn't like it
Hmm.
when we got it to that point. So he reverted back to the way he was driving it, which is I told him if it works, then do that
Hmm.
because it's not me driving that car. Um, so with the CLSD, I don't hate it per se. I just don't like how it felt when it was in the RDX, the way I had it set up. And it could be the combination of the motor being a 13.5 versus like the 10.5.
Hmm.
That could be it. Because everyone else that had used it locally, they've been running a 10.5.
Hmm.
So it could be that my 13.5 doesn't get up there enough, or
It's not the
something came
RPMs. It's not all about like it's not about the RPMs at all now. It's about where that torque is at. Like
mm-hmm.
that's the biggest thing. And that's why I'm playing with rotors. Like so I bought a so the stock rotor for a Accuvance BS Dual is a 12.3 millimeter rotor. So I bought the 12.5 and a 13. So we're gonna test those, and then I also got the apparently the tried and true level 45 that everyone's getting for their fledge. So
Mm-hmm.
and the way that I'm feeling my fledge right now, because it's right here, um, it feels like what I did with my RPM motor from Yokomo, right? It feels like a the 12.5 millimeter rotor that's from the torque motor that I put in the RPM motor.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a feeling that the fledge, because I'm gonna be basically testing the Shark with these motors tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Accuvance might stay in there, but at the same time, I'm kind of like it's too much purple, way too
It's
much
never
purple.
too much.
It's a lot of purple,
It's never too much.
a lot of purple,
Both Alexis and Portland would say it differently because they just got all purple everything.
right?
So,
There's
uh,
us. There's such thing as too much. My gosh, you guys.
hey, I have the purple MC1. See, it's never too much.
No, I mean
So,
Lance is the only one that can truly say that because
yeah.
everything was purple. I even switched out my
Wait,
ball
no,
studs to
no,
purple.
wait. Lance didn't have everything purple. He needed those arms that I had. That was back ordered for a long time.
Lance had a purple titanium chassis.
No, he was missing some arms. It's either the rear lower or the front lower.
It was a lot more purple than your chassis was.
He didn't have the purple toe blocks.
That's like 10%.
Yeah, but I had all those.
No.
Oh no, wait, I lied. I didn't have the toe blocks. But anyways, um, it was the arm. See, that's right. Anyways,
That's okay because those arms are garbage.
hey, they worked.
The fronts are absolute garbage. The rears not so bad.
That's only if you're going on a mini.
No, on everything. They bind up so much. Those Yoko front arms,
I didn't have issues.
That's
I
because
think
your front end doesn't move.
we did some magic stuff on that car, and then it's gone. Because RDX is life now.
Wow.
um,
Rev
let's
D
see.
fanboy. Rev
Okay,
D fanboy.
not yet. I don't have a bag. I'm still using a Yokomo bag.
Dude, okay, that bag, $220.
Okay, for sale, $200, local pickup only.
No. The Rev D bag is 220. The
Yes,
Yokomo one is 160. Same bag.
Grimace. Oh, I'm reading chat.
Yeah.
So, what else are we missing? Did we
Nothing.
cover it?
We're covered on all of my stuff. So
Mhm.
if you have any topics,
I don't. So, other than who's going tomorrow, hit me up if you're going to the Roadster show to go support Matt. I want to figure that out, and then I'll double check what's going on with the family lunch dinner thing tomorrow. Um, oh, new stickers came out. We are for Speed Style. Excuse the mess if you're seeing it. That's the new sticker.
oh, with the
So
PD. Ha! That's cool.
yeah,
I dig that.
li- limited edition. Taking pre-orders. If you guys really want it, we'll print some more.
I
But I
want
do have some newer. There is the PDX silhouette for like nighttime shadow deals. So if you guys are wanting some, let me know. I have some of the gray ones and white backgrounds. But if you want the carpet, pre-orders are being taken.
I want
So
the wording in pink and the skyline in black.
send me your request on the DMs. We will
No,
make something
no, this
happen.
is
I won't remember.
yes, you will.
Lance, I'll send you the file. So
Okay,
there's that.
if you guys have questions, put them up. It can be as stupid as you want, but make it G rated.
Yeah. Yeah, put it in a comment so we actually have comments.
Again, if you have ideas or have anything that you want to hear about, just throw them up in the comment section after the facts. I'll go through them and kind of read what they are, all that fun stuff.
Mhm.
Um,
If you see me at PDX and you have ideas, let me know. There's an idea that I want to try, but I will talk to Adam about it a little bit more, and then maybe we'll. I think we should do that. That idea that we talked about a long time ago. Well, we can discuss it offline.
okay.
So
uh, okay, Alex, it's fine, right? As long as you're committed to buying the Tau 3, the it's $150, I think, then you're fine. Or if you're perfectly fine with like press button programming, then it'll work that way too. It's just the convenience of having the ability to tune from the radio is so much more beneficial than whatever everybody thinks it like that it is. Like I've seen so many people have problems with their Hobbywing wireless programmers and the Yokomo ones too.
yes.
And it's like I have the program card, just let me plug that in. That'll just fix it.
Oh, and
Um
Charlie, I got this for you. It's the Yokomo wireless programming.
mhm. Jake has a Tau 2 and Elliot has a Tau 3 for those of you that are at PDX.
Cool. We'll definitely hit those guys up because I need to see what is in the rad setup.
Mm-hmm.
like actually what's on there.
And it still comes down to preference, everybody. Like, if you like your hobby wing setup, then so be it. There's nothing wrong with it. We're not gonna send you to prison for using a hobby wing setup. Like, there are good things and bad things about all of them. Like, I say time and time again, the RPX2 from Yokomo has 100% like better power delivery than the AccuVan CSEs. That's hands down, no competition.
Mhm.
Um, but the programming thing, like, it's just so much easier for me to pop out the settings on my radio and go through the settings.
Oh, I do want to add something. If you're at the track and you're gonna ask us for help, please don't expect us to know how to work on your car if we're not running that same electronics. I think I had one guy expected me to know how to work on his car. So just pro tip. We we don't play with all the setups all the time. I don't run Hobby Wing anymore. I played with it for a little bit. I ran the Yokomo one for a while. The B4 gyro, we know how to work on it because that was like the gold standard until we tried the GYD 550. So,
If you're talking to me, I will let you know if it's something that I don't know. Like I'll basically put it to the effect of, like, your amount of time on this is probably just as much as my time, if not more. So
mhm.
yeah, I don't know.
Now
But
I just heard a little back comment like after I said, "Oh, I don't know how to work on that because it's not what I run." Like
oh,
they acted like I was being a snob about it.
I mean, there
So,
is that stigma, right? Because
mhm,
AccuVance, you're running at least a $250 radio, right?
mhm.
And most of us have the $700 7PX or 10PX, and yeah, it looks very very snobbish.
Yeah, and I try to explain to all the guys that I've helped that hey, you don't have to buy this. This is what works for me, and it's what I like.
Mhm.
So,
I mean, at the time when they still had BS duals, their combo for a BS dual 10.5 or even a 13.5 with a Jarvis ESC was 250.
mhm,
You can't beat that.
yep.
Like, for the motor and for the ESC, you can't beat that.
So,
Anyways, but that doesn't matter anymore because now it's a rad with a fledge or a Zarvis with a fledge or anything with a fledge, basically. So
mhm,
yeah,
yeah,
you're starting at 300 for any of their combos, I think.
300 and up plus shipping. So I think it's like 370, 80, 70, yeah, 384, something like that. I don't have my receipt in front of me, but
Though that was
the rad with
speed
the flag.
control and ESC,
Yes.
not including S bus, right?
Oh, wait, yeah, not including S bus, but I did go with. So the last combo I bought was the Fledge purple, the Rad purple with the Race Storm fan purple, the Super G edition.
Hmm.
Um, I think I was at $405 after shipping.
It just hurts every single time.
Yeah, I mean, but we've been there, right? Like we will buy something cheap and we end up buying something more. So like instead of buying it once, like say, because I remember when I first jumped on rear wheel drive, I mean I was running what I run? I had a 10.5 motor and then I had a what was that? Or Team Orion like ESC
Yep.
that I had that was no programming support. So I ran what you had on there.
It was
And
no
then
programming support because I don't have an idea of where my program card is. It's in a box somewhere.
well yeah, but that's the thing. It's the older ESC that we passed around back and forth a few times.
Hmm.
And I mean, it worked until the turbo got reset and there was no turbo or reverse.
I don't think there was ever turbo on it at all.
There was because I ran that same ESC at Linwood and it had turbo, and then it got reset.
Okay, AccuVance is not actually that expensive, you guys. like their Jarvis ESC, which I would say is still equivalent to the Hobbywing D, like their drift setup. The Hobbywing setup is like a $220 ESC.
Hmm.
The Jarvis is only $180,
Yes.
186.
Yeah, I think the rad was 174.
The Rat is 210, and then the XX is like 280, 265, 275, somewhere around there.
It's cheaper if it doesn't say Super G on it.
No, no, it's not actually. Super G actually maintains really, really minimal gaps on that. Do, 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 do,
I
do.
thought there was cheaper on there. Let me take a look.
They are cheaper if you buy the motor with the level 45 rotor, like in that little
I
combination.
didn't do that.
Chris,
I should have.
technically baseline tunes exist. Are you talking about speed control or chassis? If we're talking about chassis, so yes, there are. I think there's some YD2 setups there, uh, but the application, it's called So Dialed, I think is what it is. There is YD2 setups and MD1. There are MD1 setups, setup sheets that are on there. As far as ESCs go, no, not particularly. If you buy a Super G ESC, an AccuBand Super G ESC, then it comes with their baseline tune there, which, take it for what it's worth. It's a decent tune, but not for everybody. Like, honestly, it was just created so that they didn't have that many people asking them what their settings were.
Yep, very true. I was wrong. So the reason why I was like 220 on Super G is because they had the fan with it, the Super
Mm-hmm.
G Race Storm fan. So that's why I paid 220,
How,
214.99 for it.
so, okay, Sam, I'm not like I'm gonna rain on you for a little bit, but not in a bad way. Hobbywing does come with a cap, but it's not like the cap that comes that you can buy for like the AccuVance, right? The all of the AccuVance caps are solid state, and even the newer caps that are available out there, that's like the drift oriented ones, like the Yeah Racing, the Onisiki, the even the new Yokomo and Hobbywing both offer non-polarized caps, but they're all solid state. The one that comes with the Hobbywing is like the electrolytic capacitors, or is that the word?
Electrolytes.
I mean, electrolytes
Close
is what
enough.
you drink. Anyway, they're the old cap, like the old cylinder caps, right? So yeah, they
Hmm.
work fine, but there are better caps that are out there.
Hmm. Since you mentioned caps, capacitors, um, so the caps that come with the the rad system, I think it's that cylinder type.
They're all the same. That single
Yeah.
cap.
Um, w- I'll just look. Never mind. Disregard that question. I'm on the website already.
Yeah, so you don't have to have an AccuVance cap to work with AccuVance. Like,
Yes, I've proven that. I put a Onishiki $20 capacitor on my Mini because that's what I have available. So I put it on there.
the only
That
bad
and
part
I had it and I was like, I'm gonna use it because I have it here.
the only bad part about it is that it has so much capacity that it takes like 3 to 5 seconds for your car to like actually turn off.
Mhm. Actually, that's not bad. I should just. Ooh, never mind. I read that wrong.
What?
I was looking at the capacitor on AccuVance and I
Um
said the Blaze.
I typically
Oh,
get
that's cheap.
I well, I typically go for the turbo cuz turbo is what, like a $40 cap,
Yeah.
whereas the Blaze is an $80 cap.
Yep.
Yeah. It's expensive. And they have all
Yep.
their like fun stuff too, like their photonic
Hmm.
balancer or the trace specter,
Yeah.
all the stuff that I have no idea what it does, but it all supposedly adds up to like something that's really, really smooth.
Hmm.
Which, hey,
We'll figure it out next chat. We'll buy all the caps and do testing.
we have no quantifiable way of testing any of that.
Just kidding.
Um,
Um,
Although one thing about non-polar caps, so if you do plug in your battery backwards, um, you just need to discharge the cap before you reuse it again. Other than that,
Okay.
if it's like a traditional cap where it is polarized, then your cap is screwed.
Yeah, I just run the surge protector, the cheap $7 cap that came with the AccuVents or the Rad. I will
Oh,
upgrade eventually.
so Chris just sent me an Orca non-polar cap. It looks almost exactly like the Hobby Wing. So okay. You're saying Orca. Um, where in the States are you buying Orca? Because that's like a European thing. Like I don't know of a shop that actually locally sells Orca here. Local shop.
True.
I'm sure it exists. It's just not a normal brand name that you would typically hear. Their race stuff is amazing. Like they're absolutely amazing. Oh look, they're out of Medford. Okay, that's cool. No one local. Exactly. I mean, at the same time, that's the same as Aki Vance, right? Anyway, okay. On-road stuff, Orca's really, really good. Off-road stuff, Orca's still really, really, really good. Um, back in the day, it was because of their brakes. Brakes are really, really good on their stuff. Anything else you want to add, John?
um, I'm gonna try and get like I'm gonna see if I can play with a much more setup just to talk about it. Nothing crazy, just
It,
another option for drifters.
no, it works. I know that it works.
But I just heard they have a new drift oriented electronics now.
The motor,
I think ESC and servo. I'll double check. It's
that
it's not mine. I didn't buy it,
well,
and
that's it.
I'm
I mean,
don't plan to buy it.
that's a question for Joe Pillars,
Or one of his drivers that I will talk to eventually.
right?
So, mhm. I just want to know it because I know the local shop has much more stuff, and I
Mm-hmm.
feel like that's where he's gonna try and go with it. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Like, I don't know what inventory is gonna be there other than tires. So I know
Mm-hmm.
Tuesday they are getting a new shipment of tires, and a couple bodies, and maybe a couple kits.
Mm-hmm. Right
So
on. Right on.
yeah,
Yeah. So
better
Sam,
know.
Sam, if you don't hurry, I'll probably just end up selling. Well, no, actually, no. Never mind. Alex already figured that out. He already has a servo horn on his way. But I do have a black Rhino servo horn that is being waited for by Sam.
Sam doesn't get it because it's gonna go on the shark build for
That,
me.
wait, I mean, wait, what?
I'm just
Oh
I'm just
no,
messing with
no,
Sam.
no, John, no, no,
We're doing a shark build. It's gonna be the RDX shark,
it doesn't work. We already know that.
and I'm just kidding.
Okay. Anything else? No. Recap.
No
Tomorrow,
recap.
tomorrow and Sunday are PDX for Roadster Show. Cool cars, very cool cars that I've seen in terms of pictures. Next week is Import Expo at PDX, and that weekend is also midnight hours, right? So not yesterday, but next Friday
Oh,
is midnight hours.
note for next weekend. I just remembered. Thanks for reminding me. I won't be there. I'll be in Seattle for Supercross. Fingers crossed.
For Supercross.
Yep. And we're gonna watch dirt bikes.
Oh, fun. Yeah,
Yeah.
so tomorrow is Roadster Show up in PDX at the Expo Center. Not in the
Yep.
same building that Hot Import Nights was. So keep
Yep.
that in mind.
And it's not in the PDX underground place. It's at the Expo Center.
Yes. And then next Friday is midnight hours, right?
Yes, next Friday is midnight hours. PDX RC Underground at the newly expanded drift track.
Right. As long as it's consistent, I'll try to grab one of these days off and then I'll go up there. But like I need to plan ahead for that. Hopefully
Yeah,
I'll
come out.
hopefully I have my new car.
The GR8, the GR Corolla.
No, I don't need that.
Wait, are you getting a Supra?
Heck no.
Are you
No.
sure?
No, there's actually a 2021 Toyota Corolla SE Special Edition over in Albany right now. It's pretty well. It's the picture that I showed you. It's that red thing.
Oh, God, that Corolla. Okay, not the GR.
Yeah, yeah. No, not the GR. I honestly don't like the GR look. It's too weird.
It's too boxy, and then fall in love with it.
No. Although I said the same thing for like the original, like the 2000 Civic or
Mhm.
1999 Civic, and it kind of grew
And
on me.
then,
Anyway,
yeah.
okay.
All right, guys, we are gonna end it here. Thanks for watching and talking with us. And what else? Yep, that's it from me.
Yep. Same here. Later, guys.